shape thought find up and every conversation explores the art of thinking beyond the obvious. And today I have my special guest. She's the emotional balance coach, of course, author and beyond emotions from overwhelm to intentional love. No other than Miss Sophie Malahieude. Welcome, Miss Sophie on Abstract Essay. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I missed?
Yes, my name is Sophie Malahieude. I am a emotional uh, balance coach. I am also a yoga teacher and Ayurveda teacher, and I perceive that because on my journey toward finding inner peace and understanding my emotions, yoga and Ayurveda helped me pave my path.
And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Miss Sophie. Thank you. And today let's talk about beyond emotions, how to build a healthy relationship with your inner world. So you often speak about distinction between roles we play, like mother, wife, professional, and deeper self that exists beneath them. For a woman who spent a decade identify with her roles, what is the first gentle practice that can help her even glimpse that there's something more?
Yes, there is a notion of attachment. So, well, we take the example of being a mother. As we are a mother, we see ourselves as being a mom. Now, when the children are leaving the house, suddenly we have not so much. The activity are changing, and since we lived through the idea that we were a mom, since the children are not at home anymore, we are just questioning, so, but who I am? If my children are not at home, if I'm not taking care of them, who I am? And that is a notion that really leave us with a lot of emotional challenge. We might feel afraid because we don't know who we are anymore. We can be sad because we don't know what to do since the children are not at home anymore. We can feel angry because we realize that all those years that we spent taking care of the children, we probably didn't take care of ourselves as well. And I think that the first point is realizing that being a mother, for example, since we took this example, being a mother is a role, is not who we are. Who we are is really personal to each one of anyone on the planet. Uh, and when we describe who we are, we usually describe ourselves as being, for example, I could say, I am a woman, I am French, I live in Germany, I am now in the United States, I am a mother, I am a wife. All that are roles. Who I am deeply. And when I sort out my emotion, when I step away from the idea that society has on me, when I step away from the pressure of what I learned over the years, then I realize that for me, for example, what is driving me is connection with other and connection with myself. Basically, it's love. So who I am, I have love. So that is this reconnection that I believe that after years of feeling in role, we come to a big term all, all the emotion all over the place. Just to the emotion are helping us to come back home, to come back to who we are truly.
Very well said, Miss Sophie. You've written about the moment you realized you had to spend your life emotionally entangled in being a daughter, wife, and mother without ever learning to stand alone. What did the realization feel like in your body, and what did you do next?
Yes. So I think for me, the point that make me to really question all that is when I lost my mother about 10 years ago. Suddenly, I was really confused with my emotions. And I didn't know who I was anymore. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And this questioning, which was triggered by losing my mom, actually, it was the anger. I had a lot of anger. And this anger was not healthy. And I realized that the conflict I had within me could be solved only by myself. I was the only one who was feeling the anger, the sadness, the fear. And in this and for that I had to question with curiosity what I was feeling and where it would bring me. This moment when you question yourself is uncomfortable. And most of us, me first, when I was starting to feel angry, when I was thinking of my mother who just passed away, I felt so shameful that I was hiding it. But by hiding my emotion, I was not able to understand the message that my emotion were carrying. So I had to sit and use different techniques that I learned over the years, like movement and breathing technique and journaling and talking with people, um, meditation. I use all those tools with one goal was okay, what are those emotions about and what is beneath the emotion? So the first emotion that I was facing was anger. Okay, I am angry on my mother. What is the reason I am angry at my mother? And so I realized that I was not angry at my mother at all. I was angry at myself. And then when anger was lifting, I discovered that I was sad. What I am sad about, everything that I didn't accomplish in my life. And then I was keeping moving, removing all those layers until at the end came fear. I think that the fear is one of the strongest emotion we can live, and fear can shape our life. So when you remove all those uncomfortable emotion, you face fear and then say, well, okay, how do I work from there and how I can learn what I have to learn to become the woman I want to be. So for me, it was uh, the trigger point was losing my mom, and it made me reflect on all the years that I put myself last um, to care for everyone else.
Miss Sophie, your yogic philosophy teaches that the external world, including our thoughts and emotions, is constantly changing and therefore not a reliable foundation for happiness. If our emotions are not solid foundation, what is? How do you build relationship with something so intangible as the self?
Yes. So for true, emotion are not who we are, but emotion are messages to discover who we are. So, in another word, when I feel anger towards someone, what does it teach me about myself? Maybe it teach me about myself that I am not paying attention, that I could improve, that I can be more kind to other people if I am kind to myself, if I am curious instead of being judgmental. So I like to understand the emotion to go back at the essence of every individual. There is love and compassion. Now, love and compassion, that we are all love and compassion, We just have put some layer on the top of it. So understanding the emotion not are a bad thing, but at messages, so we can remove the layer and come back to everyone has love and compassion at the heart of their being. And for me, one of the purpose we have in life is to connect with this inner self that is just love and compassion.
Very well said, Miss Sophie. You've shared that your motherhood told you take care of yourself first, but it took years for you to understand what that meant. Why is that advice so hard to observe, and what is the shift inside a woman before those words stop being concept and become live reality?
Um, I think that for any mother, what it's valuable to cultivate is our own authenticity of who we are, and remove the pressure that we are receiving from society and our own backgrounds, the school we went to, or the country we grew up in. Um, we are expected to get married, to have children, to act a certain way. I learned through watching my mother, my grandmother, my aunt, that a mom was the last on the list. And it's probably what I did unconsciously. It took me more awareness about myself to understand that if I want to be able to take care of other people, I have to take care of myself first. I need to rest. I need to enjoy my life. I need to do something just for myself. And it's what I did when my children they were very young. Um, I was already involved with yoga and I decided to become a yoga teacher. This was my gateway, my Sophie place. And it's what I even of all over the years I was giving to everyone else. I had this little part in me that I am very me. When I teach yoga, when I share this knowledge with other people, when I help them to reconnect with themselves, it was who I was deeply inside. In addition, I was a mom. Uh, so even I was giving a lot when when I realized that to coming back to who I was through the practice of yoga, was through the self-inquiry in yoga, then I could raise up again.
Very well said, Miss Sophie. You said that when you confuse motherhood with martyrdom, we knowingly or unknowingly place emotional expectation on our children, needing their attention, seeking for the emotional presence. What is the first sign that this dynamic is present, and how does a woman begin to reclaim her emotional center without making her children wrong for living their lives?
Yes, I also observe that there is a difference between conditional love and unconditional love. So the first question we can ask ourselves: how come I have children? Uh, did I decide to have children because people expected me to have children? Did I have children because I was loving my husband and I wanted to grow a family together? Did I had children that in the hope that when I'm going to be older, they are going to take care of myself? Then all the conditional love leads to suffering. Because there is one thing is that when we are expecting other people to make us happy, it might not happen. People live their own life, they have their own definition of what they want to do. So if I want my children to act a certain way so I can be happy, I might not be happy because they might decide to do something else. Do I want my children to live close to my house? if I want that and I expect my children to live close to my house and they decide to take a job at the other, in another country, then I'm going to be miserable. It's because I love you if you love me. Now, if we move that to an unconditional love, realizing that we have children, whatever the reason was we got children, now we are offering the best we can with the knowledge we have to make independence and responsible adult, and we love them the way they are. If they decide just to live in another country, or not to get married, or if they decide anything they want to decide, if they want to be a painter, or if they want to be a computer science engineer, whatever they want to do, and we love them the way we are, we move into unconditional love. As we move into unconditional love, we free ourselves. We free ourselves from expectation. We are not expecting other people to make us happy. We are not expecting, I don't know, the weather to be sunny. We live the life the way the best we can, doing what we have to do, doing what seems right to do, and everything is a gift. So when my children, now they are all grown up and they live in another state, when they call me, it's a gift. I'm very happy. I take I take news from them. If they ask me to visit home, I'm very happy. I receive it, but I'm not expecting it. I respect the way that they are building their own life, and my happiness is my responsibility, not their responsibility. So I would say that for a mother, the first thing is to revisit the concept of conditional love. I love you if you love me, with unconditional love, which all mothers feel.
And very well said, Miss Sophie. You've written a powerful about fear, describing not as an enemy, but as an invitation, a doorway. For someone gripped by fear, whether a change, of loneliness, of insignificance, how do they shift from reacting to fear for listening, or to listening to it? Or what is the first question to ask?
I would say that fear can come from many different places. There is several points, but the first point I would bring up is living in the present moment. If you are afraid of tomorrow, no one can predict tomorrow. So the more you think of tomorrow, the more you are to suffer and be fearful, because you cannot predict tomorrow. You cannot predict what the people are going to do tomorrow. You cannot predict the weather tomorrow. You cannot predict anything. So if the mind is always in the future, it's fearful because it cannot control it. When the mind cannot control, then the mind freaked out. So first, live in the present moment. Fear come also from past experience and shame or regret. Same idea. As long as you focus on what was in the past, then you cannot focus on what is in the present moment. So uh, leave the past as it is. The past cannot be changed. We can make peace with the past. We can let go of the future, and we live in the present moment. So that's the first aspect of fear. Now, when we are afraid, again, curiosity. Be curious. Take a moment and use any tools you like to use. Maybe you like to journal or meditate or talk with someone. I am afraid. Name the emotion. I am afraid, blah, blah, blah. And then ask, where is this fear coming from? And try to follow the unfolding of your thought as young as you can. For example, one of the emotion and revealed to myself is that I was afraid of everyone would not love me, uh, and I discovered that when I was processing, when I was grieving the passing of my mother, and I right going deep down into why I'm afraid that nobody's going to love me. Well, when I was a child, I was afraid that my mother would not love me. And I can recall exactly the moment it happened. So this fear gets stuck in my mind. And as I grew up, I was always a pleaser. I was a pleaser to make sure that everyone would love me. So at over 50 years old now, I realized that I had built my identity on fear that people will not love me. Uh, I have a It's important to understand that we don't need validation of other people to know that we are great and amazing people. If you know in yourself that you act from a place of love and compassion, you don't need anyone to tell you that. Now, that is all the unfolding, and that comes by curiosity of the fear and trying to remove all the fear. Oh, I am afraid that my mother passed away. So, who is going to love me? Nobody was loving me before. Bloom, all the way you remove until you find the root. Usually, we find the root in our childhood or early adulthood. Uh, and it requires a little effort. And yes, it's uncomfortable. But through the awkwardness of the moment, the unpleasantness of the moment, then we come back up and say, oh yeah, I feel strong in my shoes. I know who I am. And this fear is showing me where I can find my own strength. Yeah, because at the
Finally.
end, sometimes we are afraid of fear itself.
Yes, true, as you said, Miss Sophie. But before we wrap up our discussion for today, Miss Sophie, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, because my Abstract Essay is already in sixth season, Abstract Poetry in third season, and of course my book 101 review in sixth season too, Comedy 101 in its fourth season, as well as my Food 101 in sixth season, Geography 101, Love Letters, Movie 101 review, Music 101 are in fifth season, Science 101, Sex 101 are in sixth, fourth season, and of course my baby podcast, Trivia 101, Motivation 101, Spiritual Awakening 101, Entrepreneurship 101, Law 101, Mental Health 101, Coaching 101, and of course my Bible Verses 101. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Miss Sophie, finally, your brand is rooted in the idea of freedom, the freedom to live with the vitality, emotional resilience, and joy at any stage of life. If you could sit across from a woman who was spent her life giving, who feels depleted and uncertain, and whisper one thing in her ear, not a strategy, not to do, just one truth, what you can or what you want to hear to her to hear.
Uh, um, Remember who you are. Remember that at the heart of everyone, there is love, and we are responsible for our own happiness,
Mm.
not our children.
Certainly. So, Miss Sophie, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. And tomorrow, let's talk about your book on Book 101 review and looking forward for that. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your book, your advocacy, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
Yes, I just published a self-published book. It's called beyond emotions. It's about what I was talking about, moving from a place of unpleasantness and suffering to freedom and love. So it's a self-help book that explains my journey and also give exercising for you to do the work at home.
Yes, people, let's support Miss Sophie because if you support her, for sure, more and more empowering books like this rise, and for sure, more and more transforming challenge into intentional living will implemented. So, Miss Sophie, thank you
Yes,
so much for your time.
thank you so much.
Welcome, people. See you soon.